Love CVille Show. It's great to be with you on a Friday afternoon and connecting with you through this network, which we work very, very hard to create, to grow, to improve. Today's program airs on all social media channels, archived on all social media channels, and of course on ilovecville.com. What we like to do with the network is we like to highlight positive success stories and people doing well by this community. Our guest embodies those qualities. Before I would call David Treccariche a businessman, I would call him a husband, I'd call him a father, a proud Charlottevillian, a military veteran, and a guy committed to improving our community through entrepreneurship. He has ideas left and right. He brings these ideas to market, and what results is jobs for people. That's what small and medium-sized business owners do, especially ones with community ties like David has. They open up hiring opportunities for others, which further strengthens the economy. That's exactly what he has done with Skooma Boutique Dispensary on the Charlottesville Downtown Mall. I was at Skooma Boutique Dispensary a couple days ago saying hi to David and his wife, and I was taken aback with the cleanliness of the store. I was taken aback with the aesthetic of the store, the security within the store, how the product was laid out strategically, appealing, and just the feng shui of the store was fantastic, the flow. And I'll let him talk about that here in about 8 seconds. I want to give props to Judah Wickhauer, our director, the man behind the camera, sometimes in front of the camera. Why don't we go to the studio camera and let's welcome David to the show. My friend, I've been looking forward to this interview for some time. Thank you kindly for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Jerry. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure. Introduce, before we talk shop, before we talk business, how about some personal ties for David? Talk to us about your ties here to Charlottesville, Virginia, in the Charlottesville area.
Hello, Charlottesville. As you know, if you do, I'm born and raised, graduate of CHS 09, Black Knights, and I've since moved after my Army days, which were shortly thereafter high school, back to Crozet to raise my family with my beautiful wife, Kirsty, and we've got 2 little ones at Crozet Elementary and 1 on the way. So, yeah.
How's it feel having a third child?
It's going to be awesome.
A bun in the oven. How you feel about that?
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Talk to me about parenthood and fatherhood. What do you love about it?
It's great. It's like, you can press save in your own world and then watch them develop and mature and lead their own game, that you can help influence with positive decision making and just helping just cater a little person into becoming a bigger version of yourself and going on to do their own big things. I love it.
You have a son and a daughter now.
Mm-hmm.
What's number 3?
We're not going to find out until it comes. So.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going with the surprise? Did you do that with the first 2?
No. We did it all by the book through UVA. We're going to go back through their midwife program for the 3rd round.
That's awesome, man. When is your child due?
February, baby. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. His wife, who's watching the program now, Kirsty, is an instrumental part of Skooma as well. Why don't we highlight Skooma Boutique Dispensary? Let the folks know, some who may not know about your brand, where you're located, the mission, and what the business is all about.
So, Skooma Boutique Dispensary is located on the historic downtown mall. It's between the Nook and the Paramount. It's right on the corner of 3rd Street, right next to Rapture. And we have graciously and very grateful to have become a market leader in CBD and THC sales. And we've been there a little over 2 years now. It's been nothing but a success that we're continuing to tweak and improve. And anyone who's been there and come to us since the beginning has seen that the gradual change and growth. We're never going to stop. We're just going to keep improving. And we've been navigating the laws ever since. And we like to say that we stay on the, proper side of we're in the white market, right? So we're selling everything completely legal and compliant, both federally and state. We just have some workarounds to bring a product that's a little bit more desirable. no synthetics or artificial products of the such. Everything's real natural, and it's a good place to be, and we welcome anyone and everyone to come and check it out.
Certificates of analysis?
Yeah, all of our products. Part of the compliance is, among many things, is that the products have to be third-party independent lab tested, and their THC, CBD content, all their cannabinoid content. In the cases of our flower, our smokable flower, inhalables, they're tested for foreign matter, residual solvents, any sort of pesticides, heavy metals, all tested against that to make sure they're compliant. And we just want to be able to deliver a safe and quality product that's consistent. So we've been very fortunate to do that these past 2 years, and we appreciate the ability to continue that going.
Chad Wood giving you some props. He says, I hope you and the family are doing well, David. Leah Baker giving you some props on the program. We got folks watching in Crozet, in North Downtown, in Louisa, in Greene, in Keswick, in Orange. We got folks watching in Greenwood. We got folks watching in Belmont. We got folks watching on Cherry and Star Hill. Florence Worley-Vaya, welcome to the program. Thank you kindly for joining us. When you opened, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
The political climate was a bit different.
Completely different, yeah.
Why don't we talk about that flip book of what happened? When you opened 2 years ago, to some of the maybe headwinds that Youngkin has maybe caused local dispensaries. Put that in perspective for us.
Right. So I've been in Virginia this whole time, you know that we've gradually transitioned from Charleston and Albemarle County for a few years. We're really proud of not criminalizing anyone or ticketing or punishing anyone on a judicial or monetary level for having cannabis. So it's been the plight of the pothead has been very positive in this local community for a while now. And then we went to decriminalization in Virginia, which kind of like solidified that, okay, cool, it's been decriminalized officially, unofficially in Charlottesville and Albemarle. Now it is statewide. Year after that, completely recreational. So you can have it, possess it, grow it, smoke it, cultivate it. There was just no retail platform. If you were to purchase it, it would still have to be through the traditional medical cannabis lobby, in their restrictive states, or should I say health districts, which we did not get one. Our health district, the Thomas Jefferson previously health district, now known as the Blue Ridge Health District, does not have a medical cannabis dispensary. So we had a few things going for us when we started. We had like this local appetite of, positive or, not negative cannabis outlook. And then the state was slowly transitioning. Our health district still to this day does not have a medical dispensary. So we were
closest one is Richmond?
Correct. Yeah, Richmond, Short Pump,
okay.
Lynchburg, Northern Virginia, just not Harrisonburg, not Waynesboro, Stanton.
Aren't you surprised we don't have one in this district, in the Blue Ridge district?
Yeah, it's going to be coming up soon. I think it's been in legal contention for a while, and we're going to do everything we can to get it to solidify that. But that's a kind of as much as our the way we're presented, we are very much a small and local business. So I will definitely fight with all my resources to get our health district medical license. But
I think it should go to you. I mean, you've got the this is one man talking here. You're the pro. You're the pro's pro here. You got 2 years of track record of doing it right. Yeah. 2 years of
doing
feedback.
It better. Yeah.
Doing it better than anyone.
Yeah, trying.
I mean, and put in perspective what Youngkin has done to operators like you.
So, all this hunky-dory goodness that we were bestowed upon by the state level and local climate and appetite, enter Governor Youngkin, who very quickly, saw this very loose program of a recreational retail cannabis market as a unfinished policy from the previous administration. So just nixed the whole thing, throughout the baby and the bathwater all at once, and really just and it was all written by the medical lobby. So if you were to go and read SB 903, which is the death knell in the coffin of the hemp industry of Virginia, put a lot of people out of business. if you go back and read the verbiage, it's really dense. It's really specific. A lot of terms that no politician or policymaker would be, at all interested in or privy to. It's completely written by, we can get into that, but the medical lobby, and with funds donated from them to local state representatives to push this bill along, because it was pushed along really fast in a matter of 90 to 120 days. It became from words on a paper to legislation, enacted legislation on the state level. So
it went, cannabis, CBD, Delta 8 went from darling. I mean, it was when you started this, the momentum in the Commonwealth was palpable and tangible.
Yeah, people were gearing up. And that our whole industry was, yep.
Everyone was gearing up. The farmers, the middlemen, the retailers, the private equity money, business people looking to get involved in the industry.
And it looked about 24-month timeline to that fruition,
Right. we thought it was clear green light. And then Youngkin comes in, and he's proceeded to be headwinds here. Were you surprised Youngkin did this, especially since he's a free market business guy?
You would think, being like a local, Virginia businessman, decades and decades of experience, you would think free market, capitalistic, government butting out kind of thing.
Which is what he really stands for in a lot of regards. And then how have you had to adapt and pivot? Let's put that in perspective. Listen to what this man's had to do here.
So it's pretty interesting. A lot of I don't call it competition, because again, the Virginia hemp industry is pretty tight, pretty small, growing. There's a lot of room for entry. The pie is very large, but so I say competition, but other CBD stores that were looking to stake a claim of it, a lot of them have closed entirely. They're small little staff of 2 to 6 people out of work, right? And you multiply that by every city in Virginia that's lost a handful of these stores, and it adds up, and it's not a good look, right? Just shutting down small businesses. So what we've done is I kind of refuse to, I'm going to continue to just take the high road and do what I can to stay afloat, to pay the dozen people who rely on Skooma being open for
He's got
a paycheck.
12 team members, guys.
And then we have the thousands of customers who come to us sharing their relief stories, from whether it's pain or sleep or even just recreational, hey, this is a good outlet for me. I didn't want to give up on all those people, right? I couldn't. I have a fiduciary responsibility to keep my successful, well-ran business afloat, right? So with these laws, going back to the SB 903 legislation and the things that really trying to hinder us, when they tell you a law, they tell you how to get around it. So we just kind of adhered to all their standards, right? The child-safe packaging we were already doing from VDAX. They implemented it the year prior. Clear 21-plus labeling, we've already had that implemented. Some silly things like topical creams must be labeled not for human consumption. So we did all that, and the big one that's okay, we can do all that. And the big thing that caused a lot of these businesses to kind of throw in the towel was the 25-to-1 ratio. So what that being is the serving of THC content has to have a 25 times amount of CBD. And with their theory of the CBD content neutering the THC, right? So
what's that mean, even more layman's terms?
So
with a product line,
what it means is if you like to get a 10 milligram THC gummy to help with pain, sleep, good times, whatever your intended use is, 10 milligrams of THC would have to contain 250 milligrams of CBD. So a lot of people. It would be if you went to a bar and bought a shot, they'd have to give you a gallon of water.
Wow.
So
that puts it in perspective right there. Whiff the shot.
Yeah. So
How do you adapt to that?
So we source pure raw CBD isolate by the kilo, by multiple kilos. So we get all this, and it's raw powder form. It's the same isolate you would use if in creating a lot of these products that are the CBD ones. It's THC free, it's tested, and then we supplement the THC you purchase as a consumer with this isolate. So they're they're co-packaged but in separate containers and as one serving size. So when you purchase it, it's contained together in a child-safe, well-labeled package, and your 25-to-1 ratio is adhered to, but it is not neutered. The product, your gummies are not contaminated with the CBD. You, as a free consumer, may take it and take that CBD in any way you wish. So, like, we recommend warm baths, or in tea, or in your food. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
When did that come to you?
In a moment of how do I not close my business?
That's brilliant, right there.
You just have to adapt, right?
That was a quintessential entrepreneur move of figuring something out quickly for survival.
Yeah, and then just running it through the legal channels and making sure that they're willing to stand, because I'm 100% willing to stand on that as a legal, definitive match to their requirements of serving sizes.
Well, yeah, of course, because it's sold at the same time.
It's labeled.
It follows all the
packaged.
rules. Packaged at the same time.
Right.
And the customer's walking it out the door at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
That's brilliant, dude.
Yeah.
That is absolutely brilliant. Talk to us about the behind the scenes, almost the red tape that goes into running a business like this. Legal fees.
Right.
Constantly reading the laws and policies and legislation. Put all that in perspective to us.
It's interesting, right? So, like, if you have a restaurant, or I shouldn't say that because I've never done a restaurant, so I don't want to. Or if you had a car dealership, I can compare it to that, or a car wash. Or
he used to own Monticello Motors.
Yeah, there's a lot of legality in a car dealership, right? Financial, mechanical, advertising, but a lot of that is static, right? It stays the same. So, like, the challenges you're faced as a small business owner, you're in your lane, and that lane is usually straight linear path that you can formulate around it. Well, when it's continually changing every 12 months, you just have to adapt. You have to be willing to, you have to lose that founder's fallacy of like, this is my way, this is the way we're doing it, this is how it's going to always be done, we're not changing it. You have to dismiss that from your mind. You have to just own it and take it, and then take every wave gracefully and just keep on going.
Has that been challenging for you?
No, because we have a really good team. We have really good customers that support us. We're able, because we're so busy, we're able to bring things to market that would normally need some sort of financial backing or something to substantiate it, but we can substantiate it based on our customers' claims. So when customers come in showing us a picture of something they got in Colorado or California, or that has helped them with X, Y, or Z, we're able to identify that and take information and get it back to our VDAC certified processors and get titrated formulations of CBD oils or CBN or CBG that really help our customers. So it's awesome. It's a lot of fun to be able to then provide them a product that meets their, and now we have something under our brand that really is helping people on another level.
Viewers and listeners, you can ask David questions, give him props, ask me questions. We got questions coming in. Grayson, one of our favorite viewers and listeners, is watching in North Downtown.
Hello, Grayson.
He has a question for David. He says, are you surprised that Virginia is so late to the game when it comes to cannabis retail sales? And he puts it in comparison to some of the states that you've mentioned, specifically Colorado, and how in a second comment he said, with Colorado, the tax dollars generated from the cannabis industry have been dramatic and have positively funded, for example, things like public schools.
Yeah. It's interesting to see every state. That's probably a really interesting legal thing, is to see each state how they handle it differently. Where Michigan is completely, saturated. You can get grams of concentrate for $8 or $10, and eighths of flour for $25. To where other states that are really restrictive and restrictive medical programs where everything's very expensive. or states that are completely wide open, like Oklahoma with their licensing, where it was $2,500, and then you in a facility and you're good to go. You turn the lights on and start selling. I think Virginia. I think there was a lot of surprise that we were even the first state in the recreational as far as use. I don't know.
Why the surprise? Because of the long ties to the tobacco industry? Is that why?
Maybe. I think so. And you think it's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more. We've always done it this way. But I hope we get our stuff together and start taxing it appropriately and regulating it appropriately. We do have the cannabis, the CCA, the Cannabis Control Authority, and VDAX is doing a really good job. I don't want to attack them as the regulatory agency. That hurts us because they do so much, from gas pump regulation to poultry farms, and they just so happen hemp fell under VDAX as Virginia crop, so they're trying to help us navigate it. But it's just there's not enough infrastructure and framework. So to answer this question, I think we are really far behind, and we're the first state to actually degress and recriminalize cannabis. So that's another. It's not just me as the retailer. Individuals are getting hemmed up for larger amounts. Right now, things that were slaps on the wrist or $15 monetary fines are now misdemeanors and felonies. So it's recriminalizing it. It's pretty asinine. I don't get it.
Put in perspective the impact of this industry locally. And we've touched on it some already, but 2 years ago, 18 months ago, before these Youngkin policies were implemented and now starting to get enforced, you had the farmers were going gangbusters. Yeah. The wholesalers were going gangbusters.
I've been on your show with 2 Virginia VDAC certified hemp farmers that are no longer.
They're closed. Yeah, they're closed, right?
Yeah, they're having to pivot. Everyone's having to pivot and thrive, right? That's the only option. But it's for the state regulatory when something's already regulated, right? We already had VDEX in our business and doing really good work, getting us, where we should be, and then all of a sudden for it to just get slashed from the vine was just not conducive of pro business or anytime you recriminalize, tell your constituents that they're now doing something illegal that was totally fine and tax collected on before. It's just like that. There's a lot of
friction.
Yeah,
absolutely. What's the long play here? Is the long play here wait it out till Youngkin? Because we know governors in Virginia can't run for back-to-back terms.
Correct.
Wait it out until Youngkin is out of office, and hopefully Youngkin's replacement, whoever it may be more pro-cannabis than what Youngkin is. Is that the play?
Hopefully, yeah. So we just, we're going to survive as long as we can, and then pivot to retail, right? So what we have now, the products we have now are good. They're non-synthetic. So we do not have Delta 8, we do not have Delta 10 or THCO, any of these isomers or derivatives of THC that are considered synthetic. We just carry Delta 9 THC, which is just the nomenclature for traditional cannabis. THC, it's under the 0.3% dry weight, so it's federally compliant. And then we have what's called THCA flower. So it's phenomenal. It's almost near identical smoke to traditional cannabis. It's just the way it's cultivated and harvested and tested. It's a little premature, a little early before it could fully develop into THC, which it does once you, the customer, decarbs it. So it's a really we're in the best place we've ever been as far as our product line, but we're also in a
tough political climate.
The smallest door we've ever floated on in the water. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But
here's a tough question for you. If you had known what Youngkin was going to do, would you have launched Skooma Boutique Dispensary?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because in the end, there's all the political back and forth and making sure everything's right. But if you just zoom out, all the way back, it's about access and getting these, nutraceutical, these medicinal, these natural products to the people, right? That are either uneducated, uninformed, scared, or worse, no access to. So
Along with the racial bias associated with arrests when it comes to cannabis. I mean, historically, 4-to-1 people of color are targeted and arrested when it comes to cannabis. 4 times more likely to be targeted and arrested than someone that's a white person. And that's wrong. And the decriminalization and an eventual completely legal nature of cannabis would have also narrowed the gap when it came to targeting people of color when it comes to marijuana and cannabis. So we were all very excited about that 2 years ago as this was becoming more mainstream and socially and culturally accepted. And I want to highlight this. I was actually having this conversation with a friend. While Youngkin has implemented or approved or greenlit policies that are headwinds to your industry, culturally and socially, I've never seen this plant more socially accepted. Yeah. More approachable, more welcome. I mean, it does not matter level of wealth, age, education. The acceptance rate of cannabis is I think, at an all-time high. Can you talk to us about that with what you're seeing? I mean, you could probably tell just by the customers walking in your door how it's like the entire gambit or spectrum of people.
It is, yeah. So the full, every single social class on every level of all, however you want to measure it by, we get them and we love them. They're awesome. We love our customers. We have hundreds and hundreds of them in our rewards program, that come back to us and have grown their experiences and education with us as we have, and it's really something else. It's cool. The community, it's no different than any other product that has a following, community backing, association with it. So no different than the brewery scenes or the wineries and vineyards or foodies or people who go to music shows. Any one of those categories can experience it in conjunction with, and or on its own, and it's cool. It's cool to see the wide variety of people.
What's downtown mall retail life like?
It's going well. We're in our busy season. Days are getting cooler. Foliage is going to start getting a little more colorful, and we're going to. We really are thriving, doing really well. We're a little short-staffed, but we're going to get back up there. So if anyone is looking for, and doing stuff, I could get to the like hiring, like enforcing standards, right? So we provide, free parking for our employees downtown, PTO for even part-time employees. They set their own schedule, very handsome discounts. The whole gambit. We go out to either bowling or the escape room or the Decades Arcade on a regular basis, just team bonding. So it's again things you would see in other traditional lines of work that you said it's becoming socially acceptable. That I'm doing the same thing on a small business level. I'm making us a normal small business.
I love it. I love what you're doing here. I'll highlight some of the viewers and listeners that are watching. BJ Berglund, watching the program on LinkedIn. He gives you some props. Jonathan, I'm going to get to your question here. You wanted to say something?
I'm ready. No, I was just giving a peace sign to
this from Jonathan. Jerry, can you bring up with your guest, and you've touched on this, he says, some of the storylines you've highlighted on the show with downtown mall, with foot traffic, panhandling, and homelessness, and what he has seen, considering he's got a very front and center perch with his store. And Jonathan says he's a customer of yours as well.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you, sir. We appreciate your business and your desire to see what we're going through. It's gotten better, I think. We've definitely seen a little bit of a uptick in presence. But again, if anyone's been in our store since July 1st, you've noticed we've got armed security. I know people have their different views on it. We're working with them just as we're, from day one, just as if it was, it's a new relationship, and we're trying to tweak and make it better for our customers. Not trying to have our security necessarily be a barrier to entry for any of our clients, but more of just something to keep them welcoming and secure.
Why people have beef with armed security? I don't get that.
Just because
you're creating safety.
Yeah, but it's a little raw. I think But we're working on it. We're taking in feedback. I think we're gonna change their attire a little bit, get them a little bit more professional looking, a little less like tactical and like. But we're working with a local Virginia Veterans Security, and it's a local. They employ a lot of veterans for, and they're trying to do the right thing, and we're trying to do the right thing. So we're just meeting and developing it. But as far as like the traffic, I mean, or on the mall.
Have you seen an uptick, downtick? I mean, where have you seen foot traffic versus when you opened 2 years ago? Now, when you opened 2 years ago, it was a very unique time.
Yeah,
it was COVID.
Rough.
Yeah. So it was pretty empty.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. No, it's good, and a lot of like the volatile things I think are starting to subside. I'm very optimistic and wish and speak things into like positive existence. So but I'm pretty sure it's getting a little bit better. Like the random outbursts from, people who are currently not having a good day and going through either
maybe down on their luck.
Yeah, either mental health or housing instability or and I've been face to face with it. It's not something that's necessarily like that I'm proud to say that I've gotten in someone's face to try to remove them from a situation that they were causing great discomfort to others. But in that situation, it needed to be done, and
you're the store owner. You had to.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it falls on you.
Right. So, yeah. Exactly. So, those are probably aren't like necessarily my best moments, but it has to be done, right? Like I have to create this welcoming and safe environment for my employees, for my customers. These people are our guests, our visitors in the mall. We have people from all over visiting Charlottesville, whether it's passing through to get to Florida or New York or somewhere along the way, or they're in here internationally for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, or we have a lot of huge seminars that are hosted downtown during the week and such for different organizations that we get to immerse ourselves with their people and clientele and organizations, and it's so we have to set that standard, and including that is random interactions outside can't be super aggressive, and so
Have you been impressed?
I personally jump in and get involved in those, I guess, though.
I like that. I like that you do that, guys. We'll highlight some of the viewers and listeners watching the show. Michael Pruitt, hello. Thank you for watching the program. We're going to highlight Jill Cowherd, hello. Thank you for watching the show. Neil Williamson, hello. I believe Patty Zeller's watching the show. Constance Wyant, the queen of the gentleman farmer, Jay Wyant, watching the program. Nikki Chambliss, Todd Rath of Blue Toad Hard Cider, the Cider King, watching the program as we speak. Would you, I've been impressed with what Police Chief Kachis has done with the Charlottesville Police Department. I think he's done a really good job of humanizing and localizing and personalizing the department through these walk and talks and these like community like functions. He was in a dunk tank at Ix Park. He had like a fireside chat at the church next to Darien Market. And he's routinely going to neighborhoods and doing these walk and talks with residents with the mindset of listening to learn. What have you seen from your perch on the downtown mall and someone who's a proud Charlottesvillian, born, raised in Charlottesville, a product of Charlottesville Public Schools? What have you seen from the newly minted Police Chief Kachis?
Positivity. Yeah. And sometimes that's enough, right? You force that enough, in the right direction against the right currents, then sometimes everything, it'll create like a vortex and it'll all go that way. I think we're getting there. I really do. I've missed a few of them, but I know he's been doing like meet and greets with business owners downtown. So even just that outlet, right? Even if it's, like in Iraq, we'd go to these.
This is when you were in the Army?
Yeah, when I was in the Army in Iraq, I was just a private, whatever, but I got to be able to be part of these key leader engagements, right? You'd go into these communities and hear them out, listen to them with the interpreter, have a meal. Kids running around playing soccer. We're giving away free stuff. That presence, the presence patrol, the engagement with the key leaders in the community. It's, even if nothing tangible comes from that event, the event itself is a tangible, positive outward expression from whatever the regulatory forces, whether it's a bunch of soldiers or police officers, and whether the community is, Mud Huts in Salahuddin Province, Iraq, or, 900 square foot ranch bungalows in Belmont, whatever it is. It's a good thing to do.
Leslie asked the question, what would your guests do to improve the downtown mall experience?
Don't get me started. I'll go straight for the city's Achilles. Free parking. There's no reason that consumers and workers should have to come, when they have this two massive parking structures. They should be free to every employee, to every visitor. They should be doing everything they can to generate economic revenue marginally. Like these businesses, there was a huge used to be able to validate, right? They kind of gone away from that a lot. But there shouldn't even be a need for it. They should either make the parking structures free to try to drive as much revenue to the bars, restaurants, paying 10, 11% sales and use meals tax, all this stuff. That's how they should be enabling. They should not be putting additional restrictions and ticketing cars because they have a poorly laid out parking system. The entire parking array around the mall needs to be complete, the loading zones, and all of it needs to be re-engineered and restructured. And bigger. The city needs to enable easier access to the mall.
Do you feel supported and championed as a small business owner in Charlottesville? I know
our customers, and employees.
Customers in the marketplace.
That's who matters. Everyone else, I'm kind of
that's what I want to unpack.
Customer-centric.
The everyone else. I want to unpack that. How do you feel as a small business owner with everyone else? I know your customers love you. Mm-hmm. I know the marketplace loves you. I know this community loves to support local, and you're as local as it gets. Like I said, 3 days ago, when I saw you, your wife was in the store. Mm-hmm. You're creating new jobs. You sell product line that is tied to ingredients locally.
Yeah.
So you're doing everything the right way. You do things above board. You do everything at Skooma the right way. How about the rest of the ecosystem supporting the small business owner? Do you feel that support from all aspects of it?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't be the best to ask because I don't really need any. I try not to look for that external. I guess I grade everything first priorities and by the time I get to outside influences, I'm not even
focused on it.
Yeah, I don't have the energy or wherewithal to But I guess it would be positive. Everyone I deal with and talk to is always good, even if they're not a user, consumer, or client of ours. We just when we're out at the local shops and stuff, and just.
Kevin Higgins makes this comment. I agree with this comment. This is a strong comment from the mayor of Greenwood, Virginia.
Greenwood,
right next to Crozet, where he lives.
Greenwood Community Center. Went to a good. My wife Kirsty did a lot of clogging there as a kid.
That's awesome. Kevin Higgins says this: the police chief is sounding more and more like a connected mayor to me. I love that comment.
That's cool. Yeah,
I'm seeing that as well, where he's out. If you think about this, Judah. Has Mike Kochis almost become the face of the Charlottesville brand with what he's doing? And if he has become the face of the brand that is Charlottesville through these meet and greets, these walk and talks, getting in a dunk tank on a hot summer day at X Park, roller skating. You can show some of these videos, right? Show some of the 3-on-3 contest videos we have with the police officers in the 10th and Page neighborhood
playing basketball. Yeah.
I effing loved it. I love it. I routinely say this on the show. We back the blue on this program. We champion police. We back the military and military veterans on this program. People like you, David, are heroes in my mindset. I get to go to work and do something that I absolutely love, because people like you, people like Chief Kochis and the CPD have protected my freedoms and my rights. And I will never take for granted the protection of rights and freedoms that allows Judah and I and anybody else watching this program to do what we want in this country. We live in the best damn country in the world. And the reason this country is the best damn country in the world is because of military veterans like David and because of Police Chief Kochis doing things the right way. He took over a department that was 1/3 vacant. And the former police chief, Chief Brackney, literally is suing for $10 or $12 million for wrongful termination. Mm-hmm. So this guy takes over basically call it a business that's a significantly distressed asset
Yeah.
and he pumps life into it.
Yeah.
Right? And he's doing it. Look at the screen, guys. We're showing the officers playing 3-on-3 basketball on 10th and Page. Then he's going to show Chief Kachis on roller skates over here. I mean, talk to me about all this, David. What do you think the significance of all this? What's going on in your mind there?
Yeah, it's good. I definitely think that's a good outlook. As long as it's true and honest, which I believe it is. I believe it to be, and I believe it is. I know there's some people on the force that are second-generation police officers. So their parent spent 30 years there, and they're on their way to their 30. So that's just as much of a local entity or asset as a business is or anything else. So it's got to be done the right way. Well said.
Well said. Kevin Higgins has a follow-up for you and says, do you ever see a joint venture or partnership with local breweries with cannabis and a infusion or hybrid? I mean, because a lot of folks are saying that's the next thing that's going to explode. Restaurants with cannabis-infused menus and breweries with cannabis-infused liquid.
Yeah, I think very much so. Pro Renata had Skyline, who was unfortunately negatively impacted and forced to close from SB 903. But I think it's something that we could definitely develop, even if we have to start with a good CBD emulsion and mix, and then slowly work our way when it's legal and able to do THC combinations and drinks and foods. I think it's good. Done the right way and done with like the local brands. I think that would be. I'd be fully interested in it. Oh, which reminds me, I was gonna say, if anyone is still interested in the hemp industry, whether they're currently or wanting to get into it, please reach out to Skooma. We always, as long as you meet the certain criteria laid out by the state, we are willing, able, and more than happy and excited to get your product on our shelves for some exposure, for some sales, for just pride having a local natural brand or a local Virginia brand in our store. Sorry, that was my...
No, that's great.
That'll be my one ADHD moment.
I love it. You're killing this interview.
What were you saying before?
Well, let me throw a couple other storylines that are happening. You have 2 kids in Albemarle County Public Schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How's transportation with ACPS impacting your family? We're talking buses here. And what is your family? I mean, this is a great question for your wife too, Kirsty. What is the state of the union, do you think, for ACPS right now, Albemarle County Public Schools right now, as it pertains to your family and what you've seen?
I think their facade of it's okay, we're not Charlottesville is falling, and their weaknesses are being highlighted and exposed, and we need to throw on some tourniquets and some blood clot and get them because there's things that are. I know a lot. The transportation is huge, right? Because everyone's on these fixed schedules, and they don't want.
I mean, you're a business owner, and your wife's pregnant.
Yeah, we're fortunate enough to be able to drop off, and we're fortunate enough to have after school and pick up from that, and we're very, very grateful for that and lucky. But a lot of parents don't have that flexibility in their time or availability. So it sucks about transportation. I'm actually more worried about the security aspect, the fact that the hierarchy, the organizational chart, there's no really definitive security / director of safety positions. So thousands and thousands of kids over 100 plus buildings over dozens of campuses. Who's point to the person who's responsible for implementing plans and testing plans and refining plans of safety in any numerous situation for these kids, and if they can't point to someone, there's not someone grinding 40 hours a week to make our kids safer in those schools. To me, that's a huge red flag. But the transportation sucks really bad too. That's
put the times in perspective that you were saying before the show. Listen to this, guys. And he's got a kindergartner and a first grader.
Yeah, and the school bus pickup time was 6:48 for a school time of 8 o'clock.
So they would have been on the bus an hour and 12 minutes one way.
Right. So yeah,
and we're talking about a kindergartner and a first grader here.
Yeah, 5 minutes from the school. But
it's 5 minutes from the school.
I don't think anyone's to be blamed. I mean, I just
we don't blame the drivers.
Yeah, the drivers are awesome.
I'm not.
Yeah.
The drivers are awesome. This ain't a driver fault here.
I wish I had the time to do a drive shift. That'd be cool. But that's right. That's my dream job. So my two like dream jobs would be number 2 being like school bus driver for my kids. Number 1, and this might get some flack, would be meeting people at the border coming to America for their first time and welcoming them. Whether that's, if they're moving here, legal or illegal, I think that's illegal people. I think it's not it's a non-issue. I don't think it's a real thing. But welcoming
new residents
to America, being the first person to welcome them, I think would be. I'm gonna somehow make that's the next time you're gonna be interviewing me, Jerry. Is I'm gonna be doing that.
I can't wait to interview you.
Silly American flag hat.
I love it. Jennifer asked, "How's it an hour and 12 minutes if his kid's school is 5 minutes from their house?"
Yeah. I couldn't organize that, but I'm sure it needs to be done. I know it needs to be done better.
But it's legitimately an hour and 12 minutes.
Well, I guess I don't know what the drop-off time would be, but I know school starts. Yeah, the pickup time 6:48.
6:48, unbelievable.
Very lucky to be in Crozet and close to, the school but yeah. So I don't know what those other parents are doing. I feel for you guys for sure.
Absolutely. More questions come in. This one's from Matthew. The last time I was in Skooma, it looked very, very different from the time that I was in earlier this year. He's constantly improving the business.
Dude,
have him put in perspective this change.
Yeah, thank you.
Fish tank. To put the change that you've done, all the improvements.
We had a seating area outside, but the city didn't really like that. Fabio kind of shot that down, and it wasn't whatever. I didn't get permission for it. There was, unhoused people living there and sleeping there, and which I didn't really care, as long as they weren't belligerent. I always, it was always kept in check. So we tried having a public seating area, which is another thing. The downtown mall does not have adequate public seating. It's in order to sit here, you've got to give me money for this food. So we're trying to get a public-private patio that's just no barrier to entry. If you need a seat, you can sit. But yeah, we got armed security. We got the 210-gallon aquarium that feeds our aquaponics system where we're growing our cannabis plants from the fish poo. So it's pretty awesome. We're constantly bringing on new products and stuff. I want to be able to have every single CBD product that's on the market. So if anyone comes to us, we have something comparable that can help them, or something that's applicable to their needs.
Kevin Higgins is a football coach. Listen to this. They just had their very first practice from 5 to 7 p.m. last night. Listen to this, Judah. 5 to 7 p.m. He's a youth football coach. Kids showed up anywhere from 5 to 6:15. 5 p.m. to 6:15, and the practice ran 5 to 7. He asked the kids, "Why are you showing up late to the first practice?" All their response was, "It was tied to the school bus dropping us off late."
Oh, man.
6 kids no-showed to the first football practice because the bus didn't drop them off by the time practice ended.
Man.
He's saying it's impacting everything. And he's in Greenwood, which is a little further away from schools. The kids that are in, some of these, right, Afton, a portion of Afton in Albemarle County, right?
Yeah.
The folks that live in Blenheim, or
it's a hike
on that Fluvanna-Scottsville line of Albemarle County. It's a significant hike. We have parents that watched this program this week that literally said to us, it's 90 minutes one way if we're lucky for our kids. And they're in elementary school. And the parents are like, we have no choice but to keep our kids on the school bus for 90 minutes. Because they have to work.
And kids can't walk. You can't have an elementary
school. Can't walk from Scottsville to Monticello. What are they going to be walking?
Yeah, you can barely
leave the day before.
Drive on those roads safely.
Right.
There's no shoulders. They're blind. There's trees overgrown. There's, I think we lived at Lake Monticello, and I love Lake Monticello, and we would have still been living there, but, the roads, man, they're gnarly. They're in some dangerous back roads in Central Virginia. I don't know, how are the kids going to walk?
Brian Yeagle watching the program. We love BY. BY is one of St. Anne's Bellfield's finest graduates.
Heck yeah.
Now with Farm Bureau Insurance. Brian, thank you for watching. He says David is a stud. Absolute stud. Brian, thank you for commenting. He's impressed with your business acumen. I'm going to respond to him. Thank you for watching.
Brian, thank you, Brian.
What do you think this... what do you think? Do you like the change you've seen in this community? I mean, you were born and raised here. Can I ask how old you are?
31.
31.
Yeah.
You've been here 31 years for the most part.
Yeah.
Now, you had a tour in Iraq.
Some time in Fort Hood. Or Fort Cervasos. I think it changed its name. Yeah.
Okay. But for the most part, all your life here.
Yeah.
Do you like what this community is changing into? What scares you, or what do you like about it?
I like it. I know there's definitely some things we need to focus on. There, enabling bad behavior is definitely not something I think we should do. So, like, I think we need to really, I think as much as it's like a point of contention and a soft topic, we need to do a panhandling ban downtown. I know that's,
I 1,000% agree.
I know that there could be some, cognitive dissonance with that. Like, helping on the lowest scale is always the best. And, closer you are to the problem, the closer you are to solving it. But that, there's organizations that are supposed to be equipped to be solving and helping these problems and people's issues, and I don't feel like they're adequate. So we can't allow their inability or their enabling tendencies to negatively impact our constituents, our visitors, our guests, our coworkers, our employees. So, like, that's the one bad, I think. The shooting and such like that, it's, that's a little raw and rough, and we could definitely improve on that. But I think as, like, the big picture, we're doing well. The growing, I think, is awesome. I believe in growth. I think not in my backyard, people are a little selfish. Like, how can you enjoy something and then at the same time say someone else can't come here and enjoy it, right? Like, regulated growth, I think, is absolutely key for society. And if you're against it, there's some land for sale out in Crozet near me. We can squat up there against all the growth, but I think the biggest infrastructure, the roads suck, but it's okay. We can fix these things, like, with plans of actions, right? Like, in a decade, the homeless and mental health issues in Virginia or in Charlotte are and the roads can be fixed, right? I think if we just have the right focus, and it's starting with the police department, something that, they took a pretty nasty L, but it's been a while, and I think a lot of people are now getting over that. I think they thought people weren't getting over that, but I think that's in the past, right? Like, now what they're doing is awesome. We're enabling good things now, so we need to just keep that path going.
Kelsey's watching the program. She goes, our school bus is almost 2 hours one way, and we live in Afton, Jerry. So you're absolutely right. Then she gives you a compliment by saying, will your guests consider running for local office of any kind?
That would be awesome. I would love to do that. Yeah. Just because I think we could really, like, fix some little things, like, organizationally, right? Some structure, like, like CPD being treated like a business. Albemarle County needs to be, like, reeled in a little bit and treated like a business to get right, so we can staff security officers, and so we can
school resource officers.
Yeah. But, my comment wasn't even to that. Like, that's important. School resource officers on the ground, but at, like, a managerial director level, they need to be, but
that needs to be prioritized.
Yeah.
He's 100% right about that. I learned this stat yesterday from Carly Wagner. She was watching the program earlier. She said Albemarle County Public Schools have $16,800,000. $16,800,000 allocated in the budget for school transportation. Then she makes the comment, with 1,000 kids not getting schools, will those 1,000 kids get a voucher from that $16,800,000 pot of money to help compensate the parents for finding alternative solutions? I love that idea. And to your point, the local governments need to be run with more of a small business, fiscally conservative mindset. That's what you're saying. It's like, count every
we need people
dollar.
Like TJ to go. Yeah.
There you go. TJ Fadley. We love TJ Fadley, Rivanna District. He's challenging B. Lepisto Kirtley, the incumbent. But what you're saying is treat taxpayer dollars like you and I treat dollars we earn through our small business. Every dollar counts. And we as small business owners have to stretch every dollar as far as possible. One of the things that I'm very impressed with you is you constantly are involving and improving your model. Every time someone goes into Skooma, there's an improvement or some level of innovation that's happened.
There has to be.
He constantly invests in his business. You won't see Skooma like some of the businesses we see around here with tattered or torn benches or booths in their dining rooms. Everything is very nice. Everything looks the part and then some at Skooma. That mindset of running local government, David, with the same mindset we run our businesses, where we take every dollar and we prioritize it, is a mindset that I think is missing from local government. And I think you would be fantastic in a setting like that.
We'll do it.
I sincerely mean that. You and I are an hour in. It's a blast spending time with you.
Thank you, man.
How about
I appreciate you, Jerry.
I appreciate you. I sincerely mean that. How about some closing thoughts for the viewers and listeners, where they can find you and what they can maybe expect from Skooma moving forward?
Yeah, I know we didn't we didn't dive too deep, but basically our products are regulated, compliant, psychoactive. You're going to really enjoy them. If you've tried us before, give us another try. If there's any way we can support you as either a community, whole member, organization, please come to us. We're really wanting to do positive impact. And I think we can continue doing that. We've done, I've talked about in the past how we've done, we fed on Thanksgiving, the last two Thanksgiving, Come As You Are CVille has fed homeless all day, no questions asked, right out in front of Skooma. I got a lot of flack for having Santa last year, but we were giving free toys to kids.
Why'd you get flack for having Santa at Skooma?
Just because it's, you're. Is
Santa Claus not politically correct anymore?
No. No, they're more of like enticing children into a weed store kind of thing.
Oh, come on.
But we were just giving,
I got no problem with you having Santa and giving toys to kids.
Yeah,
that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Tristan over at Come As You Are CVille, we've
He's
helped
great.
enable a lot. We were looking for other organizations to enable and help. The smaller, the better. The more, like you said, prioritizing that dollar. If we can take some Skooma bucks and turn it into some real tangible community investments, let's do it. I'm 100% owner, so there's no like rigmarole going back and forth, or we'll just do it. I'm very impulsive, so come to me with a good local charity benefit and we'll make it happen, and you can quote me on it.
Lily Walton watching the program, she's the Chief People Officer at Silverchair, and she's giving you some props right now. Silverchair right across from you on the
awesome.
downtown mall, giving you some props. Dude, I'll take the words from Brian Yeagel's mouth here. You are a stud, man. Every time you come on the program, you impress. I sincerely mean that. Skooma is primed for phenomenal things.
Yeah.
As you gain market share and traction, especially in this climate where competition has pretty much been evaporated, and you are one of the few, if not the only, legitimate store remaining, dispensary remaining.
There's some good ones. There's some good ones.
Yeah, there's some good ones. But you are the market leader here. I think as we all see where cannabis is heading, and that's a controlled, taxed, legal scenario.
That's all we want.
Control it, tax it, make it legal.
Right.
You're going to crush it, dude.
Yeah.
And I know this Youngkin policy and implementation and legislation was not maybe in your crystal ball or my crystal ball, but when we look on this 10 or 15 years from now and you have 20 Skoomas, I think we're going to look back and say this. I think you're going to say this. That time where Youngkin created some friction allowed me to perfect this model and figured it out even more.
Yeah.
So once it became a tax-controlled, legal market, we were ready to thrive.
Yeah, we are thriving every day. Every day we just pivot and thrive. That's all you can do. What's your alternative?
There is no alternative.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I love what you're doing. Thank you, David, for joining
Jerry,
us.
Thank you, man.
It's our pleasure.
Judah, thank you.
Judah's A+ people. David's A+ people. Vanessa Parkhill says, that's the unfortunate difference between business and government. Businesses have to offer a product or service and continue to improve to maintain or grow their revenue. Government inherently has no incentive to improve. Yes, we can vote, but at the end of the day, the government takes their cut, and sometimes the only recourse we have is to relocate to a locality that leaves more money in their citizens' pocket. She's the queen of Earlysville, Vanessa Parkhill, and I 1,000% agree with what she just said right there.
Correct.
That is the I Love CVille show, guys, on a Friday. David was amazing, the owner of Skooma Boutique Dispensary. We appreciate you guys watching the program. Judah, thank you kindly for directing the show. We are back on the saddle on Monday at 10:15 a.m. with Real Talk, and on Monday at 12:30 with the I Love CVille show. For David and Judah, my name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for watching us, and enjoy your weekend. Take care.